What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. I am your host, Justin Harold, and with me, as always, my co-host, Jeff Santa. Today, we are going to talk about the Browns defense and the improvements that we have seen in the past 2 weeks. We are currently 4 weeks into the season, 3-1. And this Browns defense has actually surprised us, I believe. I mean, it certainly surprised me in how well they've been able to turn around after the first 2 weeks. And we are where we are because of them right now. So, Jeff, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. The defense is way ahead of schedule.
Yep.
I was an early believer that it was going to take probably 6 or 7 or 8 weeks, maybe even to the bye week to get this defense, in order. But this is an underrated defensive performance in Minnesota, playing against this offense that has high-powered wide receivers. We get a little bit lucky with Dalvin Cook being banged up. He doesn't, probably get the workload that they were looking for with him on the field. But shutting down, Justin Jefferson for the most part, outside of that first drive, besides the first drive, basically right where we picked off playing the Chicago Bears last week.
Yeah, absolutely. And a thing to note that you pointed out to me yesterday, Jeff, is we have injuries. We have key injuries on this team right now in terms of the defense. We're missing Anthony Walker and obviously Greg Newsome, but this team was still able to put up an amazing game in terms of defense. And the replacements have been doing their part. Obviously, we've had guys step up. We've had Joke, who, he's been getting more and more playing time with how well he's been doing. Grant Delpit stepping into his role and starting to fill his shoes that we expected last year. He's been looking great. And even, with Greg Newsome going down, we had Greedy Williams come up with the first turnover of the year for the Browns and his first turnover and I'm looking at this, Jeff, I'm sorry to interrupt myself, but I'm looking at the Google Browns versus Vikings, and they have him addressed as Andres Williams.
Ooh.
I don't know why that is. Greedy. They have him, I don't know why it's like that, but anyways, yeah. This defense has just been phenomenal for the past 2 weeks. So we thought we'd highlight it a little bit and get into it. Jeff, what have your thoughts been in terms of the first 4 weeks and the past two mainly?
So you mentioned the injuries, which are big, but now we just have. I think the competition has been the best part of this totally revamped defense, because I even think there's competition everywhere and people have benefited at every level. Literally at every level. I was going to say outside of our safeties, but I literally forget that Grant Delpit plays such like a fluid role. I forget he's a safety almost. But defensive line, Malik McDowell has been the benefactor of competition and, being pushed by the other guys. He's playing, pretty good football, 65 defensive grade PFF. He's in the yellow, not in the red, not in the green, but his impact has been felt. Greedy Williams, 82.8 PFF grade this week, of course, with the interception. And he's not even that's his first start. Greg Newsome goes out. He's the benefactor of next man up, which is good. Here's my biggest takeaway, which I'm going to apologize because I feel like a lot of people have hated on him, but Malcolm Smith is playing unreal football. And I think that it's mostly, him and Joe Woods. And ever since he's taken over the green dot, I think he's played better, believe it or not, which I thought was going to be a disaster. But with Anthony Walker going out, Malcolm Smith has to come into a bigger role. But being next to JOK has helped him, so much. Yeah. JOK gets the bigger PFF grade. He gets more of the hype just because he's a rookie. He's explosive. But Malcolm Smith been playing good football. Taki has been playing serviceable. The safeties are, besides Delpit, like we talked about, before we started recording this, Ronnie Harrison, he hasn't even really played that much compared to other people. Week 1, he gets ejected. Yesterday, he was hurt. And John Johnson III, definitely probably the weakest link, which is weird enough because I thought he was definitely going to be our best offseason acquisition. But I think we're way ahead of schedule. I think Joe Woods' schemes the last 2 weeks need to continue for the rest of the year. And I think that we've played teams that are, good matchups against us that have tested us. That wasn't an easy defense, like I said. So it's, it's only up moving forward, hopefully.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to key in on the adjustments that Joe Woods has made. I think in those first 2 weeks, you can very clearly go back and watch the tape into why are some of these wide receivers having so much success against us. And I think it's because we're playing zone. And then you look at the past
Yep.
2 weeks and we switch over to that man defense. And the only time I think the man defense didn't really help us out was on one of the Justin Jefferson throws where he beats, and to be honest with you, Denzel's right there, but Kirk Cousins puts the ball right in the pocket, just right here on
Great
the
throw.
far shoulder. Yeah, great throw, great catch on the sideline. But then they go back to that same play, and Denzel's right there, makes a great pass deflection. I think our corners did phenomenal this week. Troy Hill, I think he had
Yep.
to be fair, I think he got PI'd on a
A
play
couple
that,
times.
yeah, I think that on one of those he had a pass deflection that in my mind is a little ticky tacky, but I think he still played very well. Obviously, has been assuming that slot role, that slot corner role. But obviously, we talked about Greedy being coming in next man up. That last year, if we had the next man up, it was MJ Stewart or Tavier Thomas, who couldn't guard guys for whatever they're worth. And so just a great defensive showing and great defensive improvement all around. Obviously, we didn't even talk about Miles and Jadavion. I mean, those two, and Tack McKinley too. That D line has just been phenomenal these past 2 weeks. They've been, doing the thing they couldn't do the first 2 weeks, which is generate pressure with 4 people. I feel like we were in Kirk Cousins' face almost the majority of that second half. And so phenomenal corrections being made on the defensive side of the ball. Hoping that it continues, especially going into this next week, because we're not going to have it easy with another, highly powered offense. So, and, highly skilled wide receivers, highly skilled running back, and highly skilled quarterback. So we're going to be tested again. And hopefully, we'll fix things on offense. But if the defense stays the course right now for the past 2 weeks, this is quite literally the definition of defense wins you championship football. So, Jeff, you got anything else to say before we quit this one?
You're 100% right, and that saying is transitioned into you basically have to have an average defense at minimum. You can't. It's really tough to win the Super Bowl if your defense sucks. And last year, our defense sucked. It was just the name of the game. We're the only playoff team to make the playoffs with a negative point differential, and I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that we're dialed in right now, and looking toward the future. That's what's exciting to me, not to jump ahead of the gun. Obviously, it's this season and before anything else, but just the ages, Myles Garrett, still pretty young. Greedy's young, hasn't even played that much football. Denzel's young. JJ3, he's a veteran, but he's on the younger side. Troy Hill isn't very old. Malcolm Smith is probably our oldest guy with, Malik Jackson, but JOK is a rookie. We're not even talking about Jacob Phillips, who's going to, miss all the regular season. We're so young on the defensive side of the ball. And if we could build this foundation that could, overlap into, multiple seasons, and we have never been established as a good defense since me and you have been alive, even a top 10 defense. So if we're elite this year, then that just makes it so much easier on our offense, so much easier on our coaching staff. And it's intimidating playing a good defense, especially when, the Vikings, they were playing great football. They were lighting up the scoreboard.
Third highest scoring team in the league until that game.
And I like the challenges early. I like, getting Los Angeles this week. We'll bring it on. Let's see what we're made of. Let's see if we could keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, and I like getting them, we're kind of getting a nice little trade-off. They played tonight, Monday Night Football, so they have a little bit of a short week, and we have to obviously fly all the way out there. So might help to even the playing field a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, all great things that you said there in terms of the age and, Greg Newsome, rookies that we just have. I mean, guys that we have to have returned, Jacob Phillips, just a lot of great stuff that we're seeing here, and obviously we'll continue to build that up through the years. And I think that we will have some lapses, throughout the year. Obviously, we'll regress a little bit because you can't play those past 2 games every week in and out. If you do, holy goodness, I mean, besides losing that one game, who knows how many more games you would lose playing that kind of defense. But aches and pains with young guys, and that's just how it is. But with that being said, I mean, great, phenomenal past 2 weeks by the defense. So, Jeff, you got anything else to say?
Nope. Let's keep it up.
Awesome. Well, with that all being said, thank you all for watching. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe and hit that bell notification. We're going to have a couple more videos for you guys this week. Make sure you leave a like, leave a comment. Tell us what you guys are thinking. I know a lot of you were out there calling for Joe Woods to be fired after 2 games, and now I'm sure all of you guys want to, get down and kiss his boots, but it is what it is. So let us know what you're thinking. And with that being said, we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.